Number 1, there is absolutely no difference between the ethanol that they'll pour you from a fancy bottle in a bar and the stuff that's sold as paint thinner or antifreeze. It's the exact same toxic industrial chemical, which is why the government mandates that the paint thinner and antifreeze must be mixed with toxic substances like methanol. If they didn't do this, then people could simply buy the antifreeze and tax receipts would plummet. See, from the get-go, alcohol is a scam through and through. Let what I just told you sink in. You're literally spending a fortune, ruining your health and destroying your life to keep on ingesting the stuff of antifreeze. Do you really need 99 other reasons? Reason number 2, according to the CDC, more than 140,000 Americans died of alcohol-related causes in 2023. Reason number 3, each of these 140,000 people died on average a whopping 26 years before their time. By comparison, those who die from cigarettes lose on average 7 years of their life. Number 4, one of the ugliest ways in which alcohol kills is by mutating the cells of various organs to the point of inducing cancer. The International Agency for Research on Cancer actually has it listed as a Group 1 carcinogen. This is the highest risk group, placing alcohol along the likes of tobacco smoke, asbestos, and even radiation. Number 5, by continuing to drink heavily, you're putting yourself at a 5-fold higher risk of developing mouth cancer and 2.6 higher risk of larynx cancer. Reason number 6, similarly for esophageal cancer at a 5-fold higher risk and liver cancer at a 2-fold higher risk. Number 7, ladies watching this should be particularly concerned about the 60% higher risk of breast cancer, and this is by far the most common cancer in women. In the US alone, around 250,000 are diagnosed annually. Number 8, even if you stop drinking today, your risk of developing these cancers will not immediately start to decline. Depending on the body organ, it might take several years or decades for your risk to fall to that of a non-drinker. Number 9, speaking of cancer, even if you make it out alive, there's a very good chance that the medical bills will destroy you. Up to 2/3 of those who file for bankruptcy in America do so on account of medical bills. Number 10, if you think insurance is going to bail you out, then think again. 3/4 of these people have some form of health insurance and still go bankrupt. Number 11, believe it or not, after white bread and sweets, booze is the 3rd highest source of calories for the US population. Unsurprisingly, the more you drink, the fatter you get, and this is especially the case for men. Reason number 12, you see, unlike other food sources, the calories that you get from alcohol drinks are not compensated. In other words, our brain doesn't adjust our appetite to compensate for alcohol calories. For example, if your meal is 700 calories and your beer is 200 calories, you won't simply drink your beer and stop at 500 calories of food. You will still consume all 700 calories as if you never drank the beer. Now, before we get to the next reason, if you want to learn how to control your drinking quickly without AA, willpower, or rehabs, then click the link in the description to access a totally free video training. That will show you a new method to get in control of your drinking within as little as 48 hours, but you'll need to click the link in the description and put in your name and email address, and then a new video will start playing. This is something that I don't publish anywhere else online. The only way you can get access to it is clicking the link down below, but that video will blow you away. It will show you a brand new method to control your drinking quickly. So, reason number 13, alcohol also interferes with the hormones that regulate your hunger, including leptin and ghrelin. This might very well be part of the reason that it stimulates the appetite and prevents you from losing weight. Number 14, another reason that you'll pile on the weight is that drinking is simply incompatible with an active lifestyle. Be honest, when was the last time you hit the gym or went for a run after a night out partying? 15. While you might be able to fall asleep quicker when you're drunk, the chances are is that you will not get a good night of rest. By messing up your regular sleep cycle and increasing your trips to the bathroom, your sleep is likely to suffer as a result of drinking. Poor sleep is actually one of drinkers' most common complaints. 16. Your immune system will also suffer as long as you're drinking. Pneumonia, hepatitis, tuberculosis, you name it. The harder you drink, the more susceptible to these that you become, and the worse the outcomes tend to be. In other words, you will require a longer time to recover, and it becomes ever more likely that you will not make a complete recovery. 17. Your gut also feels the impact of drinking. The billions of bacteria that live there form a delicate microflora which simply has not evolved to cope with booze. The microflora becomes unbalanced with so-called bad bacteria, proliferating at the expense of good ones. 18. It's no surprise that drinking will also interfere with the absorption of essential nutrients in the gut, including vitamins and minerals. This can lead to nutritional deficiencies affecting overall health and potentially contributing to further gastrointestinal problems. Number 19, alcohol also compromises the barrier between your gut and the bloodstream, meaning toxic substances then start to enter circulation and cause long-term problems. Think leaky gut syndrome, chronic inflammation, and autoimmune disease. 20. Even after a few weeks of heavy drinking, it can be enough for you to develop an irregular heartbeat, the so-called holiday heart. The scientific name is atrial fibrillation, and after a while it can become very difficult to fix. How many hearts do we have? Number 21, boozing will also raise your blood pressure. And though that won't have any necessarily visible symptoms, hypertension is a leading cause of mortality, chipping away at your life expectancy. It is no surprise that stroke is up to 60% more likely amongst heavy drinkers. Number 22, over time, drinking will destroy your heart to the point that you'll develop alcoholic cardiomyopathy. If you overdrink for a long period of time, it will literally stretch out of shape, its muscles weaken till it can no longer effectively pump blood. At that point, heart failure and death are the most likely outcome. And number 23, it's no good for your heart, and people that think that red wine is good for your heart are completely mistaken. Listen, it's just another poison, no different from vodka or tequila. How can a small amount of poison be okay just because it's got resveratrol in it? And if you really think that resveratrol is a good supplement, then just buy grape juice. Number 24, do you care about your appearance? It is now well established that alcohol will damage your skin and prematurely age your face. For reasons scientists don't yet understand, it causes specific patterns of damage on the face, including forehead lines, crow's feet, and reduced cheek volume. And then there's the visible blood vessels. Number 25, your liver is the organ tasked with the dirty job of breaking down and expelling the ethanol from your body. Every single drink that you take is a tax on your liver, and there's no getting around it. Reason 26, if you've only been drinking for just a few months, then you almost certainly will have some kind of fatty liver. Your liver is literally swollen in size due to an accumulation of excess fat. Number 27, while fatty liver is reversible if you quit drinking, more advanced forms of liver disease are not. Cirrhosis of the liver will be painful, debilitating, and terminal. Reason 28, the reason that your liver suffers so much is because it's the organ tasked with the thankless task of breaking down the ethanol so it can be expelled from the body. And sadly, the first molecule it will convert alcohol to is called acetaldehyde, which is up to 30 times more toxic than ethanol. 29. Acetaldehyde will forge a path of destruction in your liver and the rest of your organs, interacting with more or less anything that it comes into its path, including proteins, DNA, and lipids. It will also raise oxidative stress and contribute to cell damage in more ways that scientists can even wrap their heads around. Reason 30, years of drinking will eventually also eat away at your bones, reducing their mass and dramatically raise your chance of suffering fractures. When all is said and done, heavy drinkers are about 60% more likely to be diagnosed with full-blown osteoporosis. Many of these people will also be walking around with 2 or 3 fractures and they don't even know about it, often in the ribs. 31, one of the organs to take the heaviest damage from boozing is your brain. 32. Over time, your brain will visibly shrink in size and come to weigh up to an ounce less than that of drinkers. Reason 33. This weight loss is due to billions of brain cells dying off. And sadly, unlike almost all of the cells in our body, those of the brain are literally irreplaceable. Once one dies, it's gone for good. Reason 34. Certain areas of the brain, like the frontal cortex and hippocampus, are hit disproportionately hard. The result is massive deficits in the cognitive faculties that they underlie, for example, executive functioning and memory. 35. Also hit hard is our so-called reward system. This is an ancient circuit in our brain that regulates our emotional reactions to biologically useful stimuli. This reward system can get fried to the point where the drinker no longer draws any pleasure from things that they did used to find enjoyable. 36, but the damage will not stop there. More or less any cognitive or neuropsychological function that you can think of is impaired in drinkers compared to non-drinkers. 37, alcohol also attacks myelin, a fatty white substance that is essential for our various brain centers to communicate with each other and the rest of the body. 38. Alcohol also messes up with neurotransmitters, which are the messenger chemicals of our brain. Think of neurotransmitters as the electrons moving in electric cables, and myelin as the insulation of these cables. Alcohol will spare neither. 39. Linked to this chronic state of neurotransmitter imbalance is drinkers' high propensity to depression. Not only do drinking and depression go hand in hand, but by continuing to drink, you are increasing your chances of a tragic outcome, like suicide. 40. At the same time, the heavy boozing then leads to predictable chronic deficiencies in vitamins and minerals, most notably folate, vitamins A and D. If left unchecked, some of these can have devastating consequences, including early onset of dementia. 41. It's not possible for the brain to suffer so many combined insults without giving out. Across more or less any neuropsychological or cognitive evaluation, heavy drinkers score worse than non-drinkers. They basically get dumbed down across the board. 42. Contrary to being any sort of social lubricant, booze is proven to damage the cognitive faculties that underpin our ability to form social relationships. Abilities like understanding other people's emotions from their facial expression or deciphering their mental states are heavily compromised. 43. Drinkers often have trouble recognizing and processing their own emotions, let alone the emotion of others. And this can affect up to 2/3 of heavy drinkers. Number 44. Predictably, the few relationships that drinkers do manage to retain over time involve primarily other drinkers. This social gravitational pull reinforces the drinking and makes resistance to change ever stronger. 45. As soon as you stop drinking, the quality of your social relationships will start to rise. You will be free to socialize with people who share the same interests and values, and people who can positively impact your life. Alcohol will then no longer rule your social life. 46. At the same time, the quality of the venues that you frequent will begin to rise. You can start going out whether you truly want to or not, rather than going out as an excuse to drink alcohol. You can now start making the most of social activities, doing sports, doing hobbies. Reason 47. Now, would you ever use low quality oils on your car's engine? How about adding some sugar in the fuel tank? Well, if you would never dream of doing this, how could you possibly be putting an industrial chemical like ethanol into your very own body? 48. After yourself, the person who will suffer the most in the world from your addiction is probably somebody that you care most about, be that a parent, a child, or your partner. And now when it comes to your partner, drinking can bring about a lack of intimacy, problems with communication and financial strain, which can lead to breakup and divorce. Reason 50. If you think a breakup will be the end, I have news for you. Sadly, it often isn't the end because divorce and separation are among the leading causes of homelessness and bankruptcy in the US, especially for men. Number 52. How does it make you feel that your children might be lying to their friends and teachers in order to cover up what's actually happening at home? Number 53. A staggering 25 to 30% of college students in the US are the adult children of somebody who has alcohol use disorder. And the statistics show the last thing that you want is for your child to be one of them. At 54, these children will be more likely to develop alcoholism and other types of drug abuse as adults. They will also be 3 to 4 times more likely to choose a heavy drinking partner themselves, ensuring that the vicious cycle will perpetuate itself. And these children will also be more than twice as vulnerable when it comes to developing major depressive disorder in their lifetimes, especially if they're female. 55. See, these are all best case scenarios for when the drinker is the father or the mother starts drinking after the child is born. See, if you're drinking whilst pregnant, you risk giving birth to a child with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, or FASD, and irreversible lifelong disabilities. 56. Alcoholism, along with other kinds of substance abuse, is a leading cause of homelessness. According to one survey, close to 40% of Americans living on the streets have a drinking problem. 57. Ethanol in itself is dirt cheap. It's actually so cheap that we use it as fuel. Insanely high taxes are the only reason that you are paying so much for the privilege of poisoning yourself. Do you really like paying those taxes? Number 58. Over your lifetime, you can expect to pay as much as $100,000 or more to finance your drinking habit. And this is just the direct cost of actually purchasing the alcohol itself. And number 59. The indirect costs are almost certainly larger. They include things like the productivity losses from intoxication and hangovers, as well as your overall decline in mental capacities. At number 60, speaking of hangovers, how many days of your life have you already written off? How many more are you going to lose if you don't quit now? How do you even begin to put a price on this? At 61, then there are the incalculable losses from all the promotions that you will lose, or the altogether different career options that you could have had if you were not even drinking, businesses that could have been started, and so on. Now at 62, let's not forget about all the other irrational spending that we often engage in when intoxicated, or the other poor financial planning that goes with drinking. Remember that generalized cognitive decline that we mentioned earlier? 63. Did I mention all the completely unnecessary legal expenses, the higher health insurance premiums, and even things as mundane as wasted money on endless cab rides? 64. See, when all is said and done, we are well and truly into the several hundred thousands of dollars. This is how you finance a life's worth of destroying your liver. 65. When you're on your deathbed, what do you think your biggest regrets will be? I'll give you a hint. That you didn't drink enough will not be one of them. 66. Do you really want to become another alcoholism statistic for the CDC or NIH? Is this what your parents brought you into this world for? Is this your purpose in life? 67. How many stupid things have you done whilst you were drunk that you regretted the next day? And I'm not talking about the rare stuff like DUIs or serious accidents. Let's keep it simple. How many times have you just opened your mouth and said the improper thing? How many people have you put off? How many times did you look back in shame and not even recognize yourself? I know for me it's countless times. 68. As you're watching this, somewhere in the world, a corporate executive in the alcohol industry is sipping their iced latte and silently appreciating your contribution to their bottom line. 69. You will only live once. We all get one chance at life. Will you really just waste this precious one-off gift? Number 70. If you sit down and add up all the time that you have wasted on drinking over, let's just say, the last month or year, you will be astonished. Just being able to free up this time is more than enough of a reason to change. You will be able to spend it on anything from your favorite hobbies to reading, exercising, nature, picking up new skills, volunteering, and the list goes on and on. Number 71, how about just spending this extra time with the people that you love the most? Your parents, your spouse, your grandchildren, your children. How about giving those people your complete and undivided attention, not worrying about scoring your next glass of booze for a change? Number 72, in the beginning, perhaps you enjoyed it, at least some of the time. But by this point, you're just drinking because you're hooked. You're drinking to temporarily rebalance your messed up brain until the effects of alcohol wear off, and then the vicious cycle starts all over again. Number 73, you know this is true because drinking in the quantities you used to does nothing for you now. Tolerance is increased and now you have to drink much more just to keep that pain away. You are literally ruining your liver, not even getting the same buzz anymore. 74. People who don't drink at all are always at a superior internal state compared to you. Their homeostasis is not messed up, so they have no need for alcohol whatsoever. Number 75. Contrary to what you might be telling yourself, alcohol does not relax you. Sure, it numbs senses, and if you drink enough, it can make you completely oblivious to your surroundings. But here's the thing, true relaxation is about getting to the root cause of what's not letting you relax in the first place. If your body is aching, have a massage. If your head is spinning after work, close your eyes, take some deep breaths, go for a walk. See, whatever the issue actually is, deal with it directly and then you will become relaxed. No true relaxation will come from drinking. On the contrary, hiding behind the bottle only guarantees that the source of tension or irritation will remain unresolved. 76. You might also be trying to convince yourself that alcohol is somehow helping you cope with life, that it's giving you that little boost that you need to make it through the day. But deep down, you know that there is no way a toxin like ethanol could have this magical property. Alcohol will only slow you, bog you down, distract and impair you, and guarantee that your problems will only worsen over time. Number 77. No matter how you try and rationalize it, in your heart of hearts, you know very well that you would rather be a non-drinker than a drinker. If you weren't addicted to alcohol and could act rationally, you would change places with them in a heartbeat. Number 78. On the flip side, you understand fully well that no non-drinker would ever want to trade places with you ever. Even if you call them names like teetotalers, dull, boring, whatever, deep down, you envy them. Number 79, you have managed to make your whole life and day's routine revolve around the bottle. This is not the life of a free man, but of a slave. Number 80, stopping drinking will be the biggest gift you or anybody else has ever given you. Not in and of itself, but because of what it will then allow you to do with your life. And it's a completely free thing for you to do. Number 81, speaking of gifts, you will do this for yourself and yourself only, but is there any bigger gift that you could offer to your loved ones? If your parents, spouse and children could ask you for one thing and one thing only, ask yourself, what would it be? Number 82, your recovery might also set an example for other people in your life who are also struggling with addiction. How cool would it feel if somebody comes up to you and says that you inspired them to change their life? Pretty awesome, right? 83 is that you can do this. Even if you've failed in the past, even if you've struggled in the past, it doesn't matter. It is totally doable for you to do this. 84, right now, at this very moment, while you are watching this video, there is no other action that you can take that can have a comparable impact on your future than quitting drinking. Nothing else can come close at all. See, the positive changes from quitting will keep feeding into each other, snowballing into a cumulative effect that will completely transform your life. 85, at the same time, it is the easiest action for you to take. It's by far the lowest hanging fruit in your life. You literally have to do nothing. Is it really that difficult, or have you been brainwashed into society? Again, if you want help doing it, then just go over to soberclear.com to learn more about how we work with people, how the program works. And we work typically with business owners and professionals and help them control their drinking. At number 86, you will become a better person all around, starting with your discipline. If you can't control something as basic as what you drink, you can't possibly expect to exercise discipline in more advanced areas of your life. Number 87, freed from the mind-numbing effects of alcohol, your creativity will also increase. How many amazing ideas and sources of inspiration could you have had all this time whilst you were drinking, and how many more are you set to lose if you keep on this current path? 88, courage is the ability to get out of your comfort zone and confront fear and uncertainty straight on. It is impossible to be truly courageous as long as you're drinking. Why? Because the booze just numbs out fear. 89. True confidence isn't found at the bottom of a bottle. You will find it in the authentic self-assurance that comes from facing your life's challenges without relying on booze. You will find it in sobriety. Number 90, stop drinking and change your view of yourself. How would you describe yourself now if you were completely honest? Are you truly proud of yourself? Have you lived up to your potential? Number 91, imagine a life without regrets and guilt. 92, imagine a life where you're not constantly lying to yourself and the people that you love the most. Have you sat down recently to count all the lies that have been coming out of your mouth? How would all the people that you've been lying to feel if they knew the truth? Number 93, what kind of connection can you form with somebody that you are lying to? You call that a relationship? Number 94, how many excuses have you made in the past year both to yourself and to others? Wouldn't it just be so much easier if you didn't have to keep making these excuses anymore? Aren't you tired of it already? Number 95, what are your top values in this life? Is this even a sensible question to ask yourself when you're a slave to booze? Your actions speak louder than words, and the actions of a drinker show that their top value is in the bottle. Sorry, I'm just keeping it real here. Number 96, clarity is one of the biggest gifts that you will give yourself when you ditch the bottle. Sobriety will allow you to savor each moment fully and engage with life authentically. Number 97, you will ignite the fire within yourself, fueling it with the passions and ambitions that alcohol has smothered for too long. You are not going to believe what you're capable of once the bottle is no longer holding you down. 98, you will be able to formulate and focus on personal and professional goals with clarity and consistency that is simply not possible whilst you're drinking. Right now, you're struggling to make it day to day, let alone plan for your future. 99, ask yourself, what legacy do you want to leave behind? How do you want to be remembered when you're gone? Finally, number 100, just pause for a few minutes to reflect on how far alcohol has held you back and where you would be in life right now if you hadn't spent the past few years drinking.